Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine. Okay, fine. What I am writing there on the board, there on the Microsoft Paint, it is visible
Sir,
now.
can't see, sir.
So you have
Hello?
not shared.
Presentation has not begun.
Pardon?
Sir, you
So
have not shared the board.
Okay, fine.
Screen is not shared.
Still, what I am writing is not visible.
No, sir, you have
no,
not, sir.
sir.
Okay, fine. But I have
You
shared.
have to share, sir.
So we can only see our icons. Now
Okay, now,
presentation has begun.
Yes, sir.
okay,
Now
fine.
it
Now it is what it is written there on the screen.
atomic
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 structure.
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 Okay,
Underlined with
fine.
brown.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So now we'll start the chapter. See, first of all, uh, first of all, this atom, this atom word, this atom word was coined by John Dalton, and this word he derived from tomio. Tomio means divisible. But at that time, since it was not, they were not able to divide it into smaller parts, so that's why it was known as atom. So atom means indivisible. Tomio means divisible, and since it was not divisible further into smaller particles, so he named it atom. So atom is a Latin word which means in English indivisible. See, John Dalton was colorblind. He was not able to see green color cones to recognize green color in his eyes was not there. So since he was not able to recognize that green color, so that green color blindness was known as daltonism. Daltonism is green color blindness. Everything is okay now? Everything is visible, audible, everything is okay, working fine?
Yes.
Okay, fine. No noise is coming now. So see what atom is. That time this was atom and this is nucleus. You know, nucleus is central part of atom. These are shells or you can say orbits or energy level or electron cloud. Nucleus contains neutrons and protons and is positively charged, and the diameter of the nucleus is 10 to the power minus 15 meter order. So this nucleus was discovered by this nucleus was discovered by Rutherford. Fine, and shells, as I have said, are also known as orbits or energy level or electron cloud comprised of electrons. So in an atom, atom means nucleus, atom means nucleus plus shell. Nucleus is made of neutrons and protons, and shells are comprised of electrons. So in an atom, mainly three particles, electrons, protons, and neutrons are there. So how many particles in an atom are there? How many
About
particles?
35 atomic particles.
Yeah, very good, very good. There are total around 35 particles, electrons, positron, proton, antiproton, mesons, pion, kaons,
Neutrinium.
bosons, neutrons, neutrino. Many types of neutrinos are there. Kappa particles, many types of kappa. So there are around 35 particles in an atom. See, before talking about these particles, first see, as we have said, nucleus was discovered by Rutherford, and shells were mainly studied by Bohr. And the diameter of nucleus is 10 to the power minus 15 meter order, and the diameter of the atom is 10 to the power minus 10 meter order. Diameter of an atom is 10 to the power minus 10 meter order, and diameter of the nucleus is 10 to the power minus 15 meter order. You know, around 110, 20 elements are there, so every element won't be having of same size nucleus. So approximate size of the nucleus of different atom will be somewhere around 10 to the power minus 15 meter, and the size of diameter of atom is 10 to the power minus 10 meter order. Atom, as I have told you, this word was coined by John Dalton, and Bohr mainly studied about the shells, and Rutherford discovered the nucleus. Now see, as I have told you, in an atom, it's taking time for saving. So that time we'll be using. As I have told you, in an atom, there are how many particles? Electrons, protons, neutrons. 3 particles are there. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am trying to save this page, so it is taking time for saving. So we will be using that time. So as I have told you, I'm not able to write on a screen also, since it is taking time to save. So I'll be just telling you, in an atom, how many particles are there? 35 particles. Out of 35
35
particles, out of these 35 particles, these electrons, protons, neutrons are called fundamental particles. These electrons, protons, and neutrons are called fundamental particles. So in an atom, total number of subatomic particles is 35, but out of these 35 particles, electrons, protons, and neutrons are known as fundamental particles. What's the reason why these 3 particles are only known as fundamental particles? Why these 3
They
particles
are
are
abundant in nature.
no. Can you guess that? What's the reason why these 3 particles are called fundamental particles? Because these
Sir,
3
because
are
they have charges.
no, because these 3 are the antiproton is also having charge, positron is also having charge, but are not fundamental particles. Because these 3 are most stable particles. Because these 3 are most stable particles. Since these 3 electrons, protons, and neutrons are most stable particles, that's why these 3 particles are called fundamental particles. That's why these 3 particles are called fundamental particles. Is it clear? Rest
Yes,
are
sir.
not so
Yes,
stable.
sir.
Rest are not so stable. Means their lifetime, their average life period is very, very less, but these 3 are having sufficient average life period. That's why these 3 are, you can say, most stable, means they live for long. That's why these 3 particles are called fundamental particles. Is it okay? Out of these
Yes,
three
sir.
particles, can you tell me which is the most reactive one? Out of these three particles, which is the most reactive one?
Electrons.
Electrons.
Yeah. So see, what my question was, which is most reactive? So since in chemical reactions, electron takes part now, so we'll be using common sense and will always respond with this answer that electron, no, that's not the answer. Neutron, instead of saying most reactive, if I'll say which is least stable, so neutron is the answer. Neutron is the
Sir, your
least
voice is
stable.
breaking.
Okay. Neutron is the least stable. Neutron is the least stable. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so neutron is the least stable, means its average life period is approximately 21 minutes. Average life period, that is T average of neutron is 21 minutes. Protons and electrons are having better average life period, higher average life period than neutron. So you can say neutron is least stable, or you can say amongst these three, neutron is the most reactive one. So generally, every student used to say that electron is the most reactive one. No. Amongst these three, neutron is the least stable. So you can say most reactive. Least stable means most reactive. It's taking time. So what should I do? Should I use Microsoft Whiteboard? It's
Sir,
not responding.
whatever you have written on board, no,
Sir, you
sir,
close it, sir.
have
Okay.
copied in our rough,
You
sir.
close and
So,
restart it.
Okay, fine. That is what it was asking. So I'll restart the program. Fine. So
sir, can you share the screen one more time?
okay, fine. I'll do that. Now screen is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So see what I have told you, neutron is the least stable amongst all these three particles, neutron. In chemistry, you will be writing neutron like this, but in nuclear chemistry, instead of writing like this, you will always be writing neutron like this. Here you are writing charge as superscript, but in nuclear chemistry, charge, that is atomic number, will be subscript and mass will be superscript. So that's not a big deal. Neutron is the least stable particle. Neutron is the least stable. So we can say it is the most reactive one. Most reactive one. Its average life period is 21 minutes. Average life period of electron and proton is bigger than this neutron. That's why neutron is the least stable. So out of 35 particles, these electrons, protons, neutrons, since are the most stable ones, so are called fundamental particles. But if we compare these three, then neutron amongst these three, neutron is the least stable. Now see, whatever we want to study about the nucleus, that's all over. Nothing else we'll be studying, we'll be talking about the nucleus. Now we'll be focusing on shell. See, this is nucleus, this is nucleus, this is nucleus, and around the nucleus, shells are there. Maximally, how many shells can be there in an atom? Maximally, how many shells can be there in an atom? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maximally 7 shells can be there in an atom. K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. If they'll be asking you hypothetically, then it can be infinite number of shells, but in actual, till today, there is no atom which is having more than 7 shells. That's the maximum number of shells. See, your house is made of, your house is made of your house is made of
Shells.
your house is made of No, our house is not well.
We'll use
Brick,
many particles to.
yeah, brick, sand, cement. But that will be the indirect answer. What you should say, your house is made of rooms. Fine. Rooms are made of rooms are made of rooms are made of walls, and walls are made of bricks, sand, and cement. This will be the right answer, the right sequence. So our house is made of rooms, rooms are made of walls, walls are made of bricks and cement. Like that, shells are made of subshells, and subshells are further made of subshells. That is orbitals. This is orbit, and that's orbital. And orbitals are made of electrons. As I have already told you, maximally how many shells can be there in an atom? Maximally 7 shells can be there in an
7.
atom. Fine. Shells in a shell. What does it mean? Means no atom is there which is having more than 7 shells. Some atoms can have 1 shell only. Some can have 2 shells. Some can have 3 shells. Others can have 4, 5, 6, or 7 shells. But no atom is having more than 7 shells. Now, in a shell, maximally how many subshells can be possible? 4 subshells can be possible. S subshell, S subshell, P subshell, D subshell, and F subshell. In a shell, maximally how many subshells can be possible? 4 subshells. S subshell, P subshell, D subshell, and F subshell. What does S stands for? S stands for sharp. P stands for principal. D stands for diffused. And F stands for fundamental. Sharp, principal, diffused, fundamental. S means sigma. S stands for, in English it is S, but in Latin it is sigma. P means pi, D means delta, and F means pi. So sigma, pi, delta, pi is SPDF subshell. S is sharp, principal, diffused, fundamental. Fine. So in a shell, maximally 4 subshells can be there. That is SPDF. See here, in first shell, only S subshell can be possible, never P, D, and F. Because first shell is so small, it can accommodate only S subshell. It can't accommodate P, D, and F subshell. Then in second shell, S and P, both subshells can be there, but never D and F. In third shell, S, P, D, F subshell can be there, but never F subshell. In fourth shell, S, P, D, F, all the 4 subshells can be there. In fifth also, S, P, D, F. But according to Borbori's rule or Borbori's system, which we have done there in 10th class, Lakshmi Singh Manji for S Chand, last shell can never. What I have said, I have not said 7th shell. Whichever shell is the last shell, whether it is 5th one or 3rd one or 4th one or 6th one or 7th one, can have only S and P subshell, can never have D and F subshell. Is it okay? Second last shell can never have F subshell, can have only SPD subshell. This shell is ultimate shell or outermost shell or valence shell. That is nth shell. Are you getting this all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. This second last shell is known as penultimate shell, that is n minus 1th shell. And this one is known as pre-penultimate or n minus 2th shell. In cricket, we used to say na, last ball, then second last, third last. So last is ultimate, second last is penultimate, and third last is pre-penultimate, or you can say anti-penultimate also. Pre-penultimate or anti-penultimate or n minus 2th shell. So in last shell, ultimate shell, only S and P subshell can be there, never D and F. And in second last, that is penultimate shell, never F subshell can ever be possible, only S, P, D subshell can be there. And in fifth shell, SPDF,
Why,
fourth
sir?
shell, that's the capacity. See, in bicycle, how many people can be seated? Only two, na?
Maximum.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In cars, it is 4 or 5, or it can be 7. That depends. And in buses, so different shells are having different capacity to accommodate electrons. So for that, Bohr-Baris rule is given. For that, Bohr-Baris rule, Bohr-Baris scheme, or Bohr-Baris rule is given. So this is in accordance with Bohr-Baris rule that last shell can never have D and F subshell, second last can never have F subshell, and first can never have other than S subshell. PDF can never be possible. In second, DF can never be possible. In third, F can never be possible. So these are the rules which we have to follow. According to these rules only, we will be filling electronic configuration. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now see, now see, as you have said, now see, as you have said, subshells you have said S, P, D, and F. In subshells, subshells or orbitals are there. That is called orbitals. And then electrons. So in S subshell, how many subshells can be possible? Only one subshell, subshell, that is orbital. That is orbital. In P subshell, how many orbitals can be possible? 3. In D subshell, how many? 5. So 1, 3, 5, 7. If suppose they will be asking you hypothetically, in first S subshell, how many subshells can be possible? Orbitals can be possible? 1. In P subshell, how many subshell, that is orbitals, can be possible? 3. In D, it is 5. And in F, it is 7. If suppose they will be asking you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If suppose they will be asking you next subshell is G subshell, suppose hypothetical question, G up till now is not there. If suppose hypothetically G subshell is there, then in that G subshell, how many orbitals can be there? Here it is
9.
1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So like this, 9, 11, 13, 15, always odd number. Always odd number.
Odd numbers.
Yeah, always. So in one orbital, how many electrons can be accommodated? 2 electrons can be accommodated. One clockwise and second anti-clockwise. Electron always show half spin. Electron always show half spin. Clockwise, and this is anti-clockwise. So as Doordarshan logo is there, so like that only electron revolves half spin. Electrons always show half spin only clockwise, and this will be anti-clockwise. So clockwise electron, anti-clockwise. In P subshell, how many orbitals are there? 3 orbitals are there. In one orbital, maximally how many electrons can be there? 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Total how many electrons are there? 6. In P subshell, how many electrons can be accommodated? In P subshell, maximally 6 electrons can be accommodated. In D, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. How many electrons can be accommodated there in the D subshell? 10 electrons. And in F, it will be 14. So in S subshell, maximally 2 electrons can be accommodated. In P subshell, it is 6. In D, it is 10. In F, it is 14. And if suppose hypothetically G is there, then in that, see here, 4, 4, 4. In that it would be 18, then 22, 26, like this. You keep on writing, but that won't be there. In actual, it is not there. Hypothetically, it can be there. So maximally, how many shells can be there? Maximally, 7 shells can be there in an atom, and in a shell, maximally 4 subshells can be there, and in a subshell, maximally 7 orbitals can be there. In S subshell, it is 1. In P subshell, it is 3. In D subshell, it is 5. And in F subshell, it is 7 in number. And in an orbital, maximally how many electrons can be accommodated? 2. So in S subshell, only 1 orbital can be possible, and in that 1 orbital, maximally 2 electrons can be accommodated. In P subshell, maximally 3 orbitals can be possible, and in those 3 orbitals, 6 electrons will be there. In D subshell, 5 orbitals can be there, and in those 5 orbitals, 10 electrons can be accommodated maximally. In F subshell, 7 orbitals can be there, and in those 7 orbitals, maximally 14 electrons can be accommodated. So in this way, we'll draw that orbital diagram once again, so that see, as I already told you, maximally in an atom, 7 shells can be there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the orbital which is there at infinity will be having 0 energy and will be most stable. Orbital which is there at infinity will be having 0 energy and will be most stable. Electron there will be most stable, because their electrons won't be having any force of attraction or repulsion, so will be remaining there in its position. So C, as I have told you, in an atom maximally 7 shells can be there. That is K, L, M, N, O, P, Q. In first shell, only S subshell can be possible. In second, S and P. In third, S, P, D. In fourth, S, P, D, F. SPDF, SPD, and SP. In first shell, only S subshell can be there, and in that S subshell, maximally how many electrons can be there? 2. In second shell, S and P subshells are there. As we know, in S subshell, maximally 2 electrons, and in P subshell, maximally 6 electrons can be accommodated. In third shell, first subshell is S, that is having 2, P is having 6, D is having 10. So 2, 6, 10, 14. 2, 6, 10, 14. 2, 6, 10, 2, 6. Now we'll be writing the same thing there in some other form. That is called Euler's diagram. That's called Euler's diagram. Euler's diagram, that is in accordance with above principle. AUF, above principle. You know what above is? Above is the name of scientist for city. This question was there in Delhi PMT, and options were it's a name of city, it's a name of scientist. What above is? This question was there
Name
in
of
Delhi.
scientist?
Name
No.
of scientist, sir.
C.
Name of
Name of
place?
scientist.
C. In 10th class there was Tyndall effect, na?
Yes, sir.
Tyndall, who
Yes, sir.
discovered Tyndall effect? Who discovered Tyndall effect? It was,
Sir, it is the scattering of beam of light by the collidals, no, sir?
yeah, due to splitting of lights due to that is due to splitting of light by the colloidal particles. But who discovered it? That's Tyndall effect. But who discovered it?
That don't know, sir.
Faraday discovered it. But main work was done by Tyndall. So either it is known as Faraday-Tyndall effect or Tyndall effect only. Fine. So like that, you know, nylon. Nylon means New York plus London. Na? Nylon means New York plus London. I am asking you this all from class 10. Nylon means New York plus London. These two scientists discovered nylon. So on their name only, they are calling it nylon. So New York plus London. So London was British or American? He was Englander, he was Britisher or American? Where he was
He was
from?
British.
See, that is what we apply common sense now. But in entrance, never apply common sense. He was German. But why have you said Britain? Because London is there in Britain now. So name of that city is on that German scientist name. That's why it is London. So London was German. He was neither Britisher or nor American. Like that, this Abo is neither a name of city or scientist. This, as I told you, was there in DPMT, Delhi PMT. Abo is a German word. Abo is a German word which means building up. Building up. See, if you will start constructing your building, where you will put first brick, down or upside?
Down.
Down.
Down. From down, you will be placing one by one above another brick. In this way, you will be constructing. So that is what the meaning of building up is. Means first electron will go to that orbital or subshell or level or energy level which is having least energy. Then in increasing order of their energy, electron will be filled. This will be having maximum energy. So filling of electrons takes place according to their energy level. First electron will go to the lower energy level, then after the filling of the lower energy level, electron will transfer to next higher energy level. So how you will get that order of filling of electrons according to the energy level? See, first shell is having S subshell, and in that S subshell only 2 electrons can be accommodated. Second shell can have S subshell and P subshell. The same thing what we have written here, the same thing we will be writing here. Fine, so it's not a big deal. Third shell is having 3S, 3P, and 3D subshell. Fourth shell is having 4S2, 4P6, 4D10, 4F14. The same thing we are writing, just to copy paste. Nothing new. 5S2, 5P6, 5D10, 5F14. 6S2, 6P6, 6D10, 7S2, 7P6, 7D. Sorry, 7D is not there. 7 can have only S and P. Now already we have discussed this. Is it okay?
Yes,
Is this
sir.
all okay? Now see, put downward intersecting arrows. Downward intersecting arrows. This will be the order in which you have to move. This will be the direction in which you have to move. This will be the order of the energy level. See, which one is the first one? Which one is the first one? 1s2. 1s2 is having least energy. Then go to the next arrow. Which one is the next one? 2s2. Then next to that 2s is third arrow is 2p6, 3s2. 2p6, 3s2. After 3s2, next arrow is 3p6, 4s2. 3p6, 4s2. Then after 4s2, 3d10, 4p6, 5s2. 3d10, 4p6, 5s2. Are you getting this all? Is this all
Yes, sir.
okay? After just to copy paste, man, need not to learn anything, need not to remember anything, just to copy paste. If you'll be drawing this all 3-4 times, obviously you will come to know about this order. Even I don't know this what comes after 6 feet. Then just see in coming classes we will be seeing that how I will be managing this all without learning this all. Maths will help me a lot to write this all. 5s2 is here. What next is? Next after this arrow is this one, 4d10. 4d10. After 4d10, 5p6, 5p6, 6s2. After this arrow, next is this one, 4f14, 5d10, 6p6, 7s2. 6p6, 7s2. Then after this last arrow is 5f14, 6d10, 7p6. This one is having least energy. So electron will obviously first goes to 1s because it is having the least energy, and this one will be having highest energy. This one will be having highest energy. So electron will be going, after filling all these subshells, then only electron will be going to 7p subshell because it comes last. So see, they can ask you why electron first goes to 4s rather than 3d. Why electron first goes to 4s rather than 3d. They can ask you why electron first goes to 5s rather than 4d. Because the energy of 4s, is less than that of 3d. That's why electron first goes to 4s rather than 3d. And here also everywhere, wherever they will be asking you, you will be placing it on the basis of energy level. Since the energy of 4s is less than that of 3d, that's why electron will first goes to 4s rather than 3d. Is it okay? This is our Bohr principle. This is filling of electrons, filling of electrons, filling of electrons, filling of electrons takes place according to energy level. First electron will go to that energy level which is having the least energy level. Once it is completely filled, then only electron will transfer to next higher energy level. So filling of electrons takes place according to the energy level. So that is what our Bohr principle is, and this diagram was Euler's diagram. From that Euler's diagram, you have written this order of energy level. Is this all okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we will start writing electronic configuration of an element. This is first rule. Like this, some more rules are there. Pauli substitution principle, Hund's rule is there, n plus L rule is also there. That we will do after doing quantum numbers. So now see, now we will start writing. Now we will start using, applying this Bohr principle. Now see if they have given, now see if they have given, Mn 25 and have said to write its electronic configuration. See, Mn 25, its atomic mass is 55. This whole periodic table you have to learn. If you want to make sure that you will be getting full marks there in the chemistry, then you have to learn this periodic table, then only you can get full marks. Without knowing periodic table, it's very difficult. Without knowing atomic number and atomic masses, it's very difficult for you to get 100% marks there in chemistry. What they have said, atomic number is 25. Atomic mass is 55. Atomic number is 25. What does it mean? Means protons are 25. Since protons are 25, so electron will also be 25 because it is an atom now. Because it is an atom, so in every atom, number of electrons will always be equal to proton. That's why atoms are always electrically neutral. Now see, atomic number is 25. So number of electrons and protons are also 25 because in an atom, electron is always equal to proton. Now see, what about the number of neutrons? Number of neutrons is equal to atomic weight minus number of protons. Atomic weight is 55, number of protons is 25, so neutron will be 30. We should know this all, then only we can say something about isoelectronic species or isotopes or isobars or isostars or isodiaphers and so many more terms, isoterms are there, then only we can explain them. So the atomic number of Mn is 25. So the atomic number of Mn is 25. So it is having 25 electrons. Now you have to arrange those 25 electrons. Electrons will be arranged like this: 1s2, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6. What comes after 2p? 3s2, 3p6. What comes after 3p6? 4s2, and after that 3d. See, here it is 2, 4, 10, 12, 18, 20. How many more electrons are there? 5 more electrons are there, so it will be placed here. See, this is first shell. In this first shell, how many electrons are there? 2. This is second shell. In the second shell, how many electrons are there? In the second shell, how many electrons are there? 8. This is third shell. In this third shell, 2, 8, and 5. 13 electrons are there. This is fourth shell. In this 4, how many electrons are there? 2. So 2, 8, 10 plus 13 is 23 plus 2, 25. So this is first point, that is electronic configuration. What have you said there while writing that above principle, that in B subshell maximally how many electrons can be accommodated? 10. What does it mean? It means 1 to 10 any number can be there, but never more than 10. 11 won't be possible, but 1 to 10 any number can be there.
Sir, here the outermost shell would be D shell or S shell?
Outermost is fourth shell. Outermost shell is fourth shell. This is the fourth shell. This is what we were doing there in the 9th and class now and getting confused. But here you won't be getting confused. You need not to bother. You have to follow the energy level diagram. You have to follow that Auber principle, and according to that Auber principle, 4s subshell is having lesser energy than 3d subshell. That's why electron first goes to 4s rather than 3d. So last shell is this one, obviously. Obviously, this is the last shell. This fourth shell is the last shell. This fourth shell is the last shell. So in that fourth shell, 2 electrons are there. And in this penultimate shell, 13 electrons are there. 2, 8, and 5, 13. So total 13. This is your first point. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Now see second point. See second point. Period. Which period it belongs to? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many shells are there? 4 shells. So period of this element will be 4th. Then third point. Last electron enters into which subshell? D subshell. I am not saying that 3D is the last shell. I am saying last electron enters into which subshell? D subshell. So it's a D block element. And all D block elements are always heavy metals. Their density is very high now. So all D block elements are heavy metals. Their density is high, so they will be known as heavy metals. And D block elements, see, what about the valency of sodium? What about the valency of sodium? What about the valency of, don't say +1. Don't say +1, because valency can never be plus or minus. That it can never be plus or minus. That is what in many books, including Cengage also, they have written that valency of OH. In Cengage, what they have written, valency of OH is -1. First of all, valency can never be plus or minus. Are you getting my point?
Yes,
Valency of sodium is 1 and valency of oxygen is 2. What about the oxidation number or charge? That will be plus or minus. That is +1 here in this case, and in this case it is -2. Is it okay? Is
Yes,
this
sir.
okay?
yes, sir.
So valency can never be plus or minus, first thing. And second thing, valency can never be fractional. Oxidation number can be 8/3, can be -2, can be +3. But oxidation number, but valency can never be plus or minus. Valency can never be fractional. Valency can never be fractional. But oxidation number can be fractional, can be 0, can be negative. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
In Cengage, what have they written? I was there in base Bangalore also. So their Cengage books, my colleagues were using. They were editors of those Cengage chemistry books. So in that book, it was written valency of OH is -1. First of all, valency can never be plus or minus. Second, valency can never be the property of any compound or molecule or complex substances, complex ions. It is the property of elements only. OH can't have valency. OH can have oxidation number. OH can have charge, but can never have valency. Valency O and H independently, individually can have, but OH can never have valency. Valency is the property of elements only. Valency is the property of atoms only. Valency can never be the property of compounds or molecules or complex ions. It's a complex ion, so valency can never be. OH can never show valency. So what's wrong? So just take care. Now, see, what have you written? Valency of sodium is 1 and oxidation number or charge of sodium is +1. Valency of oxygen is 2 and oxidation number or charge of oxygen is -2. What about the valency of Fe? Valency of Fe can be 2 and 3. And what about the charge of Fe? It can be +2 or +3. What about the valency of copper? It is 1 or 2. It can be 1 plus or 2 plus. What about Ag? Ag valency 1 and 2. Oxidation number will be 1 plus and 2 plus. You should remember this one. What about the Au? Valency is 1 and 3 and their charge can be 1 plus and 3 plus. Are you getting my this point? Just remember these all points. Today we have discussed valency and oxidation number of 4 few elements, or you can say 4 elements from D block and 1 is from S and 1 is from P. Like this we'll keep on discussing and one day you will be knowing valencies and oxidation number of each and every element. I'll be sharing my notes. I think on very first or second day, I have already shared my ions notes paper with you all. So just to go through with those papers, there you will get the oxidation number or charge or valency of few elements. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
See, here valency is only 1. Here also valency is only 1. 1 doesn't mean 1. 1 means one type of valency. Sodium and oxygen is showing. What about the Fe? Fe is showing 2 types of valencies. 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 3. So D block elements. D block elements show variable valency. They do not show fixed or definite valency. Their valency is variable. What does it mean? It means they are showing more than one type of valencies. What about the S and P block elements? They show only one type of valency, but D block elements show variable valency. So if someone asking you about the valency of any D block element, so you will also always be writing variable valency. What someone was telling me, I was not able to hear you properly. Anu, you were saying something?
Yes, sir. I said the D block elements show more than one valency, sir.
Yeah, more than one type of valency. So see that what does it mean? It means variable valency. What about the oxidation state? Same answer you'll be writing for oxidation state also. D block elements show variable oxidation state. Is it okay? What type of valencies S and P block elements show? This is in S block and P block elements. This is there in NCERT itself. It is written on the very first page. What term they have used for? Suppose they will be asking you valency of sodium. So what answer you will be writing?
Only 1.
1. If that 1 is not there, then what answer they can provide you? What option they can provide you? What answer they can write you? Right there in that question paper. If there is 1 is not there, then what else they can write there? Valency of oxygen is 2 now. But if they have not written 2, then what else they can write there?
Oxidation number.
Means oxidation number or valency. Sodium valency is 1 and oxygen valency is 2, but 1 and 2 numbers are not there. What else, what option they can provide you? What else option they can give you? Means I am trying to tell you, I am trying to ask you, opposite of variable.
1 electron
valency.
extra.
No, just one word. As they have written here for D block, they are writing variable valency. So for S and P block elements, what?
Constant valency.
This is English. Constant is English. Definite is English. Fixed is English.
Non-variable.
Yeah, non-variable is English. But what will be the answer there in chemistry? These all non-variable, constant, fixed,
Static.
definite. That is also English. That is also English, not in chemistry. That is maths. I'll let you know. That is what I'm trying to highlight you, that it is there on the very first page of NCERT P block elements and S block elements, but still nobody knows this, never heard about this term. What that opposite of variable valency is? Group valency. What S and P block elements show? Group valency. What does it mean? See, hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, all are same group elements now. All will be having valency 1. Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium, all will be having valency 2. Are you getting my point? So since all the elements of the same group are having same valency, that is why it is known as group valency. So opposite of variable valency is group valency. Don't say definite, constant, fixed, or non-variable. We usually prefer using these terms, but all these terms were English, and in chemistry, the proper word for writing this valency of S and P block elements will be group valency. S and P block elements show group valency, and D block elements show variable valency. So if 1 is not there for sodium, or if 2 is not there for oxygen, what else they can provide you? That is group valency. Sodium shows group valency, oxygen show group valency. Is this all over?
Just a minute, I will write it.
Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Done. Now see, we
Yes.
have discussed 6 points. How many points we have discussed about an element? 6 points.
6 points.
Like this, we will be discussing 12 points about an element, and about these 12 points, out of these 12 points, in GRB or Arihant or any IIT JEE book or NEET book, we will be getting more than 1,000 questions based on these 12 points. And every year, at least one question must be coming there from these 12 points, whether it is your state level entrance examination or international examination or national level examination, whatever it is. Even in SAT also, that is for European Medical Engineering Colleges entrance examination. In SAT also, you'll be getting many questions every year based on these 12 points. So 6 are over. Now see, since you are knowing this atomic number, that's why you are able to write this electronic configuration, period, block, heavy metal, variable valency, variable oxidation state. If you won't be knowing this atomic number, then it will be very difficult for you to write all these points. Fine. What everybody used to say, need not to learn atomic number. They will be providing you atomic numbers, So in numericals, they can provide you atomic number, but in theory-based questions, they will never provide you atomic number. So in case of numericals also, many times they won't provide you, but if they are providing, that is good. But if they don't provide, then what we will be doing? We won't be writing the same exam there next year also now. So that is why you should learn periodic table. Now see, outside your house, whose nameplate is there? Your father's nameplate is there. Why your name is not there? Because you are not so important. Father is more important there in our family. So that's why his name is there. But we all are important. But father is relatively more important because whole economy revolves around him. So only his name or mother's name will be mentioned over there. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In this Mn, how many electrons are there? 25. All 25 electrons are important, but certain electrons will be relatively more important than the rest of the electrons. How you will come to know about those electrons? See, this is your periodic table. This is your periodic table. Just you have to remember this formula, man. Then your chemistry will be very easy for you to handle. See, these are S block elements, S block elements, P block elements, D block elements, and F block elements. In case of S block elements, Ns electrons play most important role in deciding the property of S block element. What is the meaning of Ns electron? Ns electrons means S electrons which are there in the valence shell. N is valence shell. Na? So S electrons which are there in the valence shell plays most important role. That's why for writing electronic configuration of sodium, what you will be writing? You will be writing only 3s1. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. So out of this all, you can write only 3s1 because that will be the electronic configuration of sodium. What about the oxygen? In case of oxygen, you will be writing only 2s2, 2p4. You need not to mention 1s2. Why? Because P block elements, in case of P block elements, Ns and Np electrons play most important role in deciding the properties. In case of D block elements, valence S and penultimate D electrons play most important role in deciding the properties. You should remember this formula because this formula will be helping you a lot even in chemical bonding also, periodic classification also. Everywhere this formula, whether it is hybridization or MOT or whatever else it is, everywhere this formula will be playing very crucial role. So make sure that you should know this. So for S block elements, Ns electrons play most important role in deciding the properties. In case of P block elements, Ns and Np electrons play most important role in deciding the properties. In case of D block elements, Ns, that's valence S, and penultimate. N-1 means penultimate, na? Just 2-3 screens before I discussed this all. Now, what's the meaning of N, 10-1, 10-2? So valence S and the penultimate B electrons play very important role in deciding the properties. In case of F block elements, it is Ns plus N-1 B plus N-2 F electrons which play very crucial role in deciding the properties. In case of F block elements, Ns, that is valence S, penultimate D, and Nt penultimate F electrons play most important role in deciding the properties. Is this okay? We have to remember this all, that for S block elements, Ns electrons most important. In case of P block elements, Ns and Np electrons play most important role. In case of D block elements, it is Ns and N-1 D electrons which play most important role in deciding the properties. In case of F block elements, it is Ns plus N-1 D and N-2 F electrons which play most important role in deciding the properties. So seventh point is box or orbital electronic configuration. Box or orbital electronic configuration. What does it mean? Since it's a D block element, so in case of D block elements, which formula you will be using? Ns plus N-1, Ns plus N-1, D electrons. What's the meaning of N? N means 1, 2, 3, 4. So NS means 4S plus 4 minus 1, 3D. So 4S and 3D electrons. This is 4S and this one is 3D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 4S and this is 3D. In 4S, how many electrons are there? 2. In 4S, how many electrons are there? 2. 1 and 2. In 3D, how many electrons are there? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it okay? This is box electronic configuration. In IIT JEE, what option they will be giving you? They will be giving you 4s2 3d 5 only, or they will be giving you 3d 5 only, or they will be giving you d5, A d5, B d7, C d6, D d4. Which is the right configuration for MN? D5, that is 3d5, that is 4s2 3d5 will be the right answer. So in 4s, 2 electrons are there. In 3D, 5 electrons are there. This was 7th point. So now 8th point. How many unpaired electrons are there? How many unpaired electrons are there? Unpaired electrons. See, this is paired, and these 5 are unpaired. So how many unpaired electrons are there? 5 unpaired electrons are there. And those species which have unpaired electrons, since there is no place, so I'll be writing it there. Those species which are having unpaired electrons can be magnetized temporarily and will be known as paramagnetic. Fine. Magnetic moment. Those which can be magnetized temporarily are called paramagnetic. And if all electrons are paired, then can't be magnetized temporarily and will be unpaired electrons. In that case, will be 0. And in that case, it will be diamagnetic, means can't be magnetized temporarily. Then magnetic moment. Magnetic moment is equal to square root of eta into eta plus 2 Bm. Bm is Bohr magneton, that's the unit of magnetic moment. Eta is the unpaired electrons. How many unpaired electrons are there? 5 unpaired. So 5 plus 2, 7. 7 5s are 35. Square root of 35, that will be square root of 36 will be 6. So this square root of 35 will be less than 6. That is approximately 5.8 Bm. Suppose they will never be giving you 5.81, 5.82, 5.83, 5.84 options Bm. They will never give you. But if they will be giving, then also we can calculate the square root of 35. Na? That is 7th, 8th class maths. So 10th point. How many unpaired electrons are there? 5. So 5.8 Bm. If 7 unpaired electrons are there, then 7.8 Bm. If 1 unpaired electron is there, 1.8 Bm. If 2 unpaired electrons are there, 2.8 Bm will be the magnetic moment. This is the
What?
This is, pardon?
Sir, here Bm indicates what, sir?
Bm is unit of magnetic moment, that is Bohr magneton. Bohr magneton. That's unit for magnetic moment. Bohr magneton. Is it okay? Just in 1-2 minutes, we'll be finishing this all. Already time is over, but we'll finish this all. So tomorrow we can discuss some other element. Na? 11th point. It's a D block element. See, it's written here. Na? D block element. Unpaired electrons are also there. So those species, those elements which are from D block and are having unpaired electrons will always be colored. D block elements having unpaired electrons will always be colored. Whatever color it is there in your life, na, red, blue, green, all these colors are because of transition metals, because of D block. Whatever precious stones or precious metals are there, na, their color is because of transition metals, because of D block metals. Last point, group. How you will determine the group? See how you will determine the group. In this box electronic configuration, how many electrons are there? In this box electronic configuration, how many electrons are there? 7. So group will be 7th B. Why B? Because all D block elements will always be B group elements. S and P block elements are A group elements. If you will study now, man, then tomorrow you will be asking me some question. From there, we will start. If you will be studying, reading it properly, then definitely you will be asking me, definitely you will be putting one or two questions, and then accordingly we will be proceeding. Fine, from even NCERT also. So group will be 7th B. Why? Because in this Watts electronic confusion, how many electrons are there? 2 plus 5. 2 plus 5 is 7. So group will be 7. But why B? Because all D block elements will always be B group elements, and S and P block elements will always be A group elements. Fine, Babu? Is this all okay? Tomorrow we'll continue the same. Tomorrow we'll discuss some other element and we'll discuss some exceptions also. And since number of classes are total 8 in which we have to finish this chapter, so tomorrow itself we will be discussing about exceptions and few more points, and then we'll be doing some other things. Fine. Thank you very much. Have a very, very good evening. Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank
Bye.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Thank
you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night, sir.
Bye. Thank you.